Hello, this is Photography Gamer, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reviewing Shenmue 3 for the PS4. The game is also available for Windows. Shenmue 3 is an action-adventure game developed by YSNet. You play as Ryo Hazuki, who continues his quest to track down his father's murderer. So what is it like to play? Well, Shenmue consists of an open world, but it's of the linear variety, with blocked off pathways only accessible once you've achieved certain conditions. As well as exploration, you have a combat system, quick time events, and various activities to take part in. Most of the time in Shenmue, you'll be meandering around the colourful environments talking to the locals. You see, Shenmue is more of a detective game than anything else, I'd say. You need to investigate, find out new clues, speak to people again, and uncover where to go next. Thankfully for new players, there is a nice recap movie, but I'd say if you've not played the first two games, Shenmue 3 will be a huge struggle to get into. The conversations are also quite bizarre, with some pretty strange dialogue sequences.
I'll get you real nice and chiseled. Off with your clothes.
Hi there. I'd like to help you split some wood.
Now we're talking.
It gets really quiet at night, doesn't it?
And pitch black once the sun sets.
Like, you'll walk up to a person and the conversation goes something like this. Hi. Hello. So, you're a stonemason? Yes, I'm a stonemason. Stonemason. I see. Yes. Huh? It's all really very odd, and I'm not really sure who actually writes the dialogue, but it feels like two people sitting in different buildings writing with no context of what the other person just said. One relationship that does work in Shenmue 3 is the evolving friendship between Ryo and Shenhua as they work together to uncover the clues to push the narrative forward. Ryo is a martial artist from Japan, and during his adventure he'll get into fights, learn new moves, train at the dojo, learn from a master, and improve his statistics as he goes. But combat wise, I can't say it's a very enjoyable system with wooden animation, uninspired bouts, and it has a rigid feel that lacks true fluidity to represent the martial arts. Stamina is now a factor, but that brings its own problems to the table. Like running around the levels to talk to people, this costs stamina, meaning you'll have to eat every 5 minutes. It just adds admin that isn't really necessary. Being a traveller, Ryo has to earn money as he goes by gambling or doing part-time jobs such as chopping wood for some old folks. Action set pieces feature quick-time events, which are a little bit of a nice break from the monotony of the conversations. But for me, it was the plethora of mini-games that really stood out. You've got all manner of bizarre and fun activities to waste your money on. One thing I was hoping for with Shenmue 3 was a degree of closure, to wrap up what I felt had been a wonderful trilogy of games, but sadly the story felt too thinly spread, as if they wanted to prolong the series further. Like, this feels more like Shenmue 2.5, as the narrative never really gets going and it just felt like they were stalling to save the good stuff for Shenmue 4. Ultimately, it's a game that relies on nostalgia of a bygone era as opposed to true innovation. I don't see any reason they couldn't have revamped the series into a more modern, accessible and user-friendly game, but as it stands, Shenmue 3 is very dated. Visually, the game does look pretty nice, in particular the environments. The characters, on the other hand, some of the faces look horrendous and the lip syncing is on the Mass Effect Andromeda scale, i.e. bloody awful. Animation wise also, it lacks fluidity and the menu interface could have been a little bit more user-friendly. The game does have some lovely music, however, that really helps you immerse into Ryo's surroundings. But on the voice acting front, I have to say, it is a real disaster. I mean, not 100% of the time, but I find it truly unbelievable that some of this stuff got past quality control, if indeed there was any. It's like they just picked people out off the street and just said, read these lines out, because there's really very little character to a lot of the characters. Okay, what's good and what's bad? What's good? The mini-games, side activities and part-time jobs are good fun. The way Ryo progresses his martial arts skills and statistics through training is rewarding, and the relationship between Ryo and Shenhua is heartwarming. What's bad? The combat system lacks the fluidity to truly reflect the martial arts. The story never really gets going, nor does it provide a satisfactory conclusion. The NPC conversations have poor writing and patchy delivery. So what's the verdict? Despite gathering a cult fan base over the years, Shenmue commercially was a failure, which in part explains why we've had to wait so long for the third game. And sadly, Shenmue 3 isn't going to win over any new fans with its outdated approach and structure. The story doesn't really help either, with a muddled narrative that lacks direction or a compelling story to make you care about the conclusion. Like, if you compare the story here to Shenmue 1 and 2, there is no real comparison. This feels like a poor imitation, and one that barely leaves any residual memory once you complete the game. Being a cult series though, the superfans will no doubt disagree with most of the issues I've just pointed out. But I'm one of those fans too, and I can sit here and tell you the truth. I'm not going to lie and say this is perfect, because it isn't. I'm glad they finished the series, but I can't tell you that it's well made or modernized. It's really just like a 20-year-old game. I'm not saying it's a complete disaster. There are some redeeming features here, such as the side activities and all the little quirkiness that Shenmue brings. But with such an underwhelming narrative and a combat system that felt rigid and a game world structure that's a little bit out of date, it felt like a bit of a disappointment to me. I still enjoyed it because I'm a fan of Shenmue, but I was hoping for so much more, and I just feel like they could have done a better job with it, or just wait out and just do something truly next gen, modernize the whole thing. But instead we get this kind of unsatisfactory third installment. So scoring wise, I would give Shenmue 3, I'd give it a 6 out of 10 because it's still got some nice features, but it really didn't quite live up to the first two games. Okay, that's the review. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. This is Photography Gamer signing off. Thank you.